welcome everybody to this Women in Construction event. We are excited to have some members of NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction, from the Des Moines chapter join us today. So we're going to start off by allowing them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what they do. And we'll get started here. So Melinda, could you kick us off?
Sure. I am Melinda Packabush. I am our Professional and Development and Education Committee Chair for NAWIC. I work for Story Construction as a lead estimator. I've had various different careers throughout the construction industry. I have had positions actually as a civil engineer, estimator, which is what I am currently also. Pre-construction manager and assistant project manager.
Awesome. Thanks, Melinda. How about Kelly?
Hi, my name is Kelly Paskert. I am the marketing and sales director at Skold Companies. We are a specialty subcontractor. And on NAWIC, I am the president-elect. So I am slated to be the president next year. And I have been in the construction industry for about 10 years.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kelly. And Tammy.
Hi, my name is Tammy Rico, and I am a national bid manager at DLR Group. And I am the current president of the local NAWIC Greater Des Moines Chapter 80. So very excited about that one. DLR Group is an integrated design firm, so we are on the design side of the industry. So a bid manager is you've heard us as bid managers, BDC managers, design technology managers, but our role is working with the design technology and helping all of the design teams and construction teams use the software. When do they use it? How do they use it? Do all the training and that kind of thing. So we have all the toys.
Fantastic. Welcome, Tammy, and thanks for being here. Kelly, I'm going to go back to you a little bit. Could you give us a little bit of background on NAWIC and just that organization and why all of you are involved in it?
Absolutely. Great question. Thanks for asking. So NAWIC is the National Association of Women in Construction. And essentially, we're an organization that made up of women trying to advocate to get other women in the construction industry. So our goal is to help, whether they want to be in the office of a construction company or trying to get people in the trades. Our goal is to both educate women that there are opportunities out there, and then also to educate the industry that there are women out there looking for jobs that are qualified to be in this industry, and then trying to kind of band together to sort of attack all of this at once together, trying to get all of us on the same page and work through the industry.
Great. And could you talk a little bit about, there's got to be some stereotypes surrounding women in construction. Could you talk a little bit about that and maybe dispel some of those for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously some of the stereotypes are that women shouldn't be in construction or don't want to be in construction or can't be in construction. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Obviously, we are strong both physically and mentally, so we can definitely handle working in the field along with all of those men. The men are often quite inviting. It's just the stereotypical that, women shouldn't be there or that they don't want women there, which really isn't the truth. The men are very welcoming on the job sites. They're all very open to having us there. Throughout just NAWIC and kind of women fighting for women's rights, we've been able to modify a lot of the job sites so that there's, separate restrooms for the women, and there's, if they want to do breastfeeding or things like that. So there have been accommodations made so that women can be on the job sites. And then as well as in the office, obviously it was a very male-dominated field for so long that there were some accommodations that needed to be made inside of the offices for women's needs. And most places have been able to do that. And so a lot of those thoughts that maybe existed, 15, 20 years ago are not necessarily true, specifically in the Midwest. I mean, I know our area is very inviting and welcoming, and women can do any of the jobs that those men can do.
Great, thank you. Melinda, I'm going to ask you to just give us a kind of a rundown of some more details about the careers that are in the construction field. And if you've got some slides, you can go ahead and share your screen, I believe. Let me know if you
Okay.
need permissions to do that.
Can you see my screen now?
We can, you're good.
Okay. Okay, so there's many jobs within the construction industry. So Story Construction is a general contractor. So we either oversee large projects, or I shouldn't just say large projects, we do small projects also. But we do a lot of management on projects, whereas as Kelly mentioned, she works for Skold, who would be one of our subcontractors. So with that, Story also, and many other construction companies, I should say, are also design build firms. So we work a lot with architects and engineers, not just on, they do a lot of the drawings themselves, and then we bid them, but we also work with them on various other projects on what is, like I said, is called a design build project. So engineers, and by that term, in this case, I'm speaking of like mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, structural engineers, geotech engineers, those who do design work. Because you'll see later where I use the term project engineer, which is different. We have estimators, which is what I am. So what we're responsible for doing is providing costs, bidding jobs, and hopefully winning jobs to keep our staff employed. So we work with the numbers and with the quantities. Some of the job requirements that we need is one, to be good with math, one, to be attention to detail. We need to dig into the drawings and really dive in there, see what the details are. We need to get quotes from various different subcontractors. We determine labor on our own projects. So we're just do a lot of costing for projects. And we also do a little bit in trying to figure out how to build the project. So then we have, which Tammy will speak a little bit more, VDC engineers or BIM management. BIM management falls a lot more with like the architects and engineers, but on the construction side, we call them VDC engineers, or virtual design and construction. So they're going to work with the models, all the 3D models and stuff that are produced. And then we have project engineers. So these are ones who are, a lot of people have different terms for this too. Project engineers, field engineers. Some of them even term them project coordinators. They help the project managers out with submittals. So they review submittals or review stuff that comes in from the subcontractors, make sure it meets specifications. And then, pass that on to the architects and engineers for approval. They do a lot of what we call our record drawings. They may even get involved in scheduling the job, or even doing what is called a change order, which is a change to the project. So it could be a cost change or just, a different type of change to the project. Our project managers, those would be the ones who actually manage the project. So they work with the superintendents, the project engineers, any project coordinators. They line up the subcontractors and just manage the job all in all. I think I have another slide on that later. And then our superintendents, so those are the ones that are actually out in the field. Project managers are usually more in the office. They do go out in the field. I mean, they're not just strictly office people, but the superintendents go out in the field and manage the field staff. So they're kind of the head on the job sites. And then we have our laborers, or our tradespeople, who actually do the labor out on site. So concrete work, steel work, welding, framing. So whether if it's wood framing or metal studs, let's see, electrical or electricians, plumbers, HVAC or heating and air conditioning, and various other careers, I guess. So as I kind of said, estimators are responsible for determining accurate costs on projects, various things we do. And the project managers, they develop and manage this project schedule, manage subcontractors. They do constructability reviews, phasing for construction. Everybody deals with safety. That's probably a piece that I missed here is we have safety coordinators, safety managers. There's various different titles for that who actually manage the safety programs. Safety is like #1 on any construction site or even in any construction company. If we're not 100% safe, it can affect our whole business and affect our families. So, and then another responsibility of a project manager is they need to manage the budget for the project, or what would be the budget or the cost of what has been estimated for the project. So, and everybody does problem solving. So that's what I have. Any questions on that?
Yeah, any questions from anyone about those positions? If not, Tammy, I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about your side of the work.
Great. So Melinda had mentioned a VDC manager or a BIM manager. Another term that you'll hear, another title that's just common with our role is called a design technology manager. So depending on if you're on the design side or the construction side or even the hybrid, will be any one of those three things. And basically what that means is our role is we get to work with the project teams and coordinate and helping coordinate the models to make sure that we can see the buildings virtually, to validate that it's constructability. So we see the models in 3D. So we're working with that piece. Another piece is that working with all the different design technology tools and all the different software. So we can have anywhere between 2 to 10 different pieces of software just in handling one model or one project. So when we talk about a model, it's an actual building. So working with all of those, knowing how to use those, knowing how to integrate all those, as well as integrating some non-design tools that you see a lot of now with, like Power BI and all kinds of different things like that. And then the third kind of chunk of what we do is a lot of what we do is help the companies develop their standards on how to use all those software with those projects, and then train all of those team members, whether they're field superintendents and foremen to architects and engineers and designers, on how to use all of that design technology to accomplish this task of creating this building. So we kind of get to play in all the different realms and a lot of different workflows. So there's a lot of times that we're responsible for the HoloLenses and the VR headsets and all of those kinds of things as well. So we kind of get to do all of that in any of the workflows or disciplines or both sides of the construction industry.
Great, thanks, Tammy. Question for all three of you, and maybe we'll start with Kelly. What prompted you to get into the construction industry? Can you think back on that?
Yeah, I think for me, I've been drawn to the construction industry for a while. When I graduated college, did I think I would end up doing marketing and construction? Absolutely not. But prior to coming to Skold, I worked at an agency and I managed all the advertising for Bobcat, like the skid steer loaders. And so that kind of gave me my first taste of the construction industry. And what I really liked about it was, first of all, the people. It's still kind of that good old boy network that everybody, is in it together and we're working toward a common goal. It's very team focused. So I liked that. But then the other part for me is I really liked how construction tied to, in my opinion, the whole economy. You could tell where the economy was going and what was going on in the economy based on where construction was. So if, houses were booming, you knew that there was money out there or that interest rates were maybe a little bit low. And if the construction industry was booming, you knew that there was some money out there and some commercial development going on. So I kind of liked how you kind of got a big picture of how, the economy was functioning based on what was going on in the construction industry. So It was kind of the mix of both the economic side as well as the people side. It's a really, really great industry to kind of get into and meet some great friends and get some of that business sense of what's going on in the world as well.
Great. And Kelly, where did you go to school, and what was your training or background?
Yeah, so I went to Buena Vista University and I graduated with a degree in marketing and mass communications.
Okay, great. Tammy, how about you?
My love for the construction industry actually started really, really young because I was always obsessed with Legos and constructor sets and being able to, just to build things and do those kinds of things, and being able and drawing three-dimensional objects and that piece is where I got the love of mine. I didn't start this until later on in life, and I actually have an associate's degree in computer drafting and technology management. My favorite part of the construction side is being able to model it and see that I was a part of that, not necessarily the architect or the engineer or the GC, but still being a part of that and being able to take my love of teaching people how to use the software and how to do all that, and so that we can create all of those masterpieces. So you don't have to be the architect or the engineer or the designer or somebody in that role to have an effect on construction in our built world. We live in these spaces every day, and so having an input on seeing some of that is huge. It's awesome.
I love that. Thanks, Tammy. Melinda, how about you?
So I have a degree actually in construction engineering. That's not where I started off when I went to Iowa State. I did start off in architecture. I kind of went back and forth between architecture and engineering. So I started in architecture, actually went to aerospace engineering, and then went back to construction. So I think the thing that interested me was just being able to design projects, seeing things being built. I had a good math and science background, and I like a lot of theory in things. So that's where the engineer comes out in me. I like to prove theories and like to be extremely accurate. So as I mentioned, I was in architecture first. That's what I had planned on doing. I wanted to design big, beautiful buildings, right? And then I got really into Frank Lloyd Wright, and I wanted to design homes and stuff, but that's not always really what an architect does. They stay more in the commercial, industrial, and that side of things. And so I also had a love for airplanes, which is why I went into aerospace, but then went back to construction. And the reason why I went back to construction, because I was already in the engineering side. And I honestly entered it with not really knowing what all it was about. I graduated with an emphasis in heavy and highway construction. So I worked at the DOT, the Iowa Department of Transportation, one of the counties, and then many civil firms. So I did a lot of civil design before I got into the construction field. And what I found myself in the civil design was I got really into estimating and doing our what we call our their engineers' estimates, I guess. They use it a little bit different term, but then that's where kind of drew me to the construction side and into the estimating side. So I've been in the estimating side, or I guess I should say in construction since I think 2012. So prior to that, I was all in engineering. And then I pretty much stay up front in the estimating pre-construction side. I like to serve our clients. Everybody serves we all serve our clients, but I like to be able to produce a building that they want for the price that they want. I absolutely love what we call value engineering. So when stuff is over budget, we try to find various different options to cut costs to still meet the client's needs. And so I think that's a lot of my focus is really just working with clients and being able to meet their needs. And then I still go watch and see stuff being built and whatnot. But, you know, I've got some background, you know, in project management and stuff too. I've done a little bit of that. So as I said, I'm heavy in highway emphasis. So my loves are earthwork and concrete. So if you can dig a hole and pour some concrete, that's my area. So, and it is, and as Kelly said, I think what a lot of people need to realize, and I just got done telling a bunch of the college students this too, is you'll be surprised at what you find yourself interested once you get out there. I have done industrial work, agricultural work, and honestly, I loved a lot of what I wouldn't even think I would ever touch, you know. So it's who would have thought that? I mean, I did play in the dirt a lot when I was a kid, I guess. But you know, it is probably one of my favorite things. So.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Melinda.
Yep.
Okay, one last question for the three of you. Kelly, we'll start with you. What advice would you give to young women, young girls who are considering a career in the construction pathway?
Oh, good question. Well, my first piece of advice would be do it. Join the construction industry. We need you. The industry needs you, but at least consider it. Maybe do an internship or look for a mentor, somebody that you can, you know, grab coffee with or grab some lunch or breakfast with, and just pick somebody's mind. Pick somebody's mind that's in the construction industry. Find out what they like about it. Find out what drove them there, how they ended up there. And just be open-minded to it. Again, when I graduated college, I thought I was going to be VP of a Fortune 500 company. Like, this is not where I thought I would end up. But it's where I was meant to be. And so it's one of those things that you just need to be open-minded, and it may actually just be the perfect fit for you, and you had absolutely no idea. So look into it a little bit, do your research, and see if it's right for you.
Great. Tammy, how about you?
My big piece of advice is don't listen to them when they say that you can't. You know, if you like math and you like how things put together and you like even the technology and the software and being able to use all of that, go for it. They need people to show you how to use the software and put the pieces together, and being able to do that. You'd be surprised at how much the construction industry you're going to see change over the next 10, 15, 20 years with all of the technology that's going on and the different robotics and all that stuff. So if you like the two put together, put them together, go for it. There's nothing that says that you can't do it. And you don't have to be quiet about the fact that you like math, that you like science, or that you want to pick up a hammer and go pound nails in something. Don't be shy, just do it and have fun.
Great advice. Melinda, how about you?
So I would definitely echo what they all said. And I'm going to speak on terms of not just girls, boys, men, women, or I'm going to speak on all terms. The construction industry is a good career. There are a lot of open positions. There's always need, whether if it's project managers, project engineers, estimators, or laborers. There is always open positions. We have, and I would say you don't need a 4-year degree. We do have some of our superintendents have worked their way up from the field to superintendents. Some have 2-year degrees who have done the same. We have so there's various different ways. And you don't just need like a construction management or a construction engineering degree necessarily either. We do have some who do not have those degrees that are project managers. So I think there's just so many opportunities out there. So I would say don't be afraid to explore them. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough that there are a lot of opportunities out there. And we'll talk about some of those, I guess. We have scheduled some other Ask a Professional sessions with Amy and DMAC here throughout mainly April, starting the end of March to the end of April. So we'll have 4 different sessions that break out into various different groups. So definitely check those out, and we'll get deeper into some of these positions we've talked about.
Fantastic. Melinda, yeah, thanks for mentioning the educational pathways. I think it's important for people to realize that regardless of educational background, there is a spot within the construction industry, whether it's straight out of high school, whether it's 2-year degree, 4-year degree. And sometimes those just stack upon each other. So I think that's a really great thing to mention.
And there is apprenticeship programs too. That you can look at. And I see in the chat there was, would a business degree help you? Absolutely. I know we have a project manager. I believe he has a business degree. I think there's so many things. And, you know, some of the stuff we didn't mention today is, Kelly talked a little bit, you know, she's in marketing. There's business development. We have business analysts. We also have full accounting staffs, most of us. You know, so there is more than just pouring concrete, pounding nails. There's a lot more to it. So,
Melinda, I'd like to add to that one. In fact, that we have a lot of, you know, when it comes to a college degree, I actually have a 2-year degree from a technical school. So it had nothing to do with the 4-year or 5-year university in that aspect. But we also have people like computational design and data scientists and data analysis. And so even all of that business aspect of it and having that whole piece of it is huge. So it's not just, cannot stress enough, it's not only being out in the field, but you can use all kinds of different backgrounds in the construction industry and where it all fits, especially with everything changing so much over the next, you know, few years. You're going to see a lot of it. And the question in the chat was about doing an apprenticeship. It really depends on the individual. I know my son, we were looking at doing an apprenticeship with him because a 4-year degree is just, it's not him. But the apprenticeship, having hands-on, doing it, working your way up, it is a steady career. It is a great career. There's nothing that says that you have to go the higher degree route, especially if you want the hands-on experience and go that route.
And so sorry, Tammy.
No, go ahead. I was just going to hand it over.
Oh, the apprenticeship. So it's a little harder for me to speak on that because, Story, we don't have necessarily an apprenticeship program, but a lot of companies do. A lot, especially in mechanical and electrical, and you know, some of the you know, steel workers and stuff. So a lot of them will even have a job and be in the apprenticeship program when they're working for those companies. But it is definitely a good route. You know, it's one of those things where you can get into the apprenticeship program and, you know, you're done a lot quicker. So you're honestly making money quicker than being, you know, getting a 2-year degree or 4-year degree.
DMAC has a great 2-year program. And then with the construction trades program, as far as getting into the apprenticeships, if they're interested in a specific trade, the local unions have apprenticeship programs. So whether it's the steam fitters or electrical or, you know, even just depending on what trade that they want, there's typically a union, and then they'll actually put you in the apprenticeship program, and you're working and going to school. So you're getting paid to learn as well. And then I think ABC and MBI, I think, also have programs as well to look at that route.
So ABC does. I don't know if MBI has anything specific, but ABC is basically an apprenticeship type program. I know we had worked with them on some stuff, but yes, and as Tammy mentioned, DMAC has several different types of programs for a 2-year degree too.
Any other questions from our audience today? I think that is always something that comes up in conversation of, you know, there's not one right pathway. And I guess I appreciate how you answered that, Melinda. You know, there's different, Tammy, it really is dependent upon the individual and what outcome they really want at that point in time, and whether that apprenticeship, 2-year degree or 4-year degree is the best route for them at that given time in their life. So it's a hard question to answer. I don't think it's a one size fits all, but yep, great. There's great apprenticeship programs. There's great 2-year programs at DMACC. Obviously, me being an employee at DMACC, I'm a little bit biased towards that, but also great 4-year opportunities. So, and I just think, as we've discussed today, that there's entry points for all of those within the building and construction industry. So any last thoughts from Tammy and Melinda or anyone on the call?
For me, I couldn't, for me getting into the construction industry, this is actually I would say my third career. I started out in accounting as a young adult, and then I was raising a family and decided to go back to work and wanted to go and went and pursued my passion. And so I came into it a little bit later, and I am grateful every day that I did go the 2-year degree, but I've been able to put my skills to use. I have had the opportunity to travel across the country doing what I do and doing the training and, that aspect. So to take away what you think about the construction industry and what you think is the only thing that you can do. And there is so much opportunity to do anything. I never would have thought, and if you asked me at 18, do you think you would have traveled the country and done all of this and moved 4 different states and had this life? And I never would have guessed it and would not trade it for the world.
So the other thing that Tammy mentions, travel in the countryside. I actually was right here in Des Moines, and I worked from coast to coast, sitting in the Des Moines office. So, and that was when I was working on the engineering side. I worked in Alaska, and I was working down also in Washington, D.C., Maine, all at the same time, and even reviewing drawings for another project in another country. So it's amazing what you can do now. Was it a little bit tougher? Sure, because I couldn't just pop over to the job site and check something out when I wanted to. But it is amazing. I worked with people all over the country. I worked from various offices, with them all over the country. And this is even before, this is 10 years ago, right? When we didn't have Teams and we didn't have a lot of this stuff, and we were still managing to do it now, or would do it then, probably even better now. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of opportunities. So I don't think I would take back anything I've done, whether it is even from the design side into the construction side. So I've had a lot of good mentors along the way. So it's been really good.
Well, Melinda, Tammy, Kelly, I know Kelly had to jump off, but we really appreciate your insights and your expertise and sharing some of your knowledge with us today. And I would just like to encourage anyone that, again, if you're looking into the construction pathway, don't hesitate to reach out. We can get you connected to some of these women in the industry if you'd like to know more. So thank you for joining us today, and to our panelists, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.